Alice is in Bristol. Alice, what's your experience?
Okay, well, I am a contact tracer. Oh. I'm the person that speaks to you when you've tested positive and you haven't filled the information on line with the link.
Yes.
You've not been able to do it in the 8-hour window, so I call you.
Right.
And we're all clinicians, so we're not just getting names from you. We're actually also checking that you're okay.
Fantastic.
But that's what I do. And I'm not supposed to talk to you, but I am happy to because, James, I know that you are a very balanced broadcaster. And I just wanted to see if I could help with any questions. And
you're not allowed to talk to me. You're not allowed to talk to any members of the media, just to be clear. It's not just me personally.
No, it's just you, James.
There's a picture of me up at HQ. I say, avoid this man like the plague. So...
No. It's because I'm an NHS employee.
Exactly.
We're all NHS employees, and that's why. We just have a thing we're not supposed to, but I'm happy to.
No, well, you're very kind. I will pick your brains if I may. Mm-hmm. Let's begin with the question I was puzzling over with Bill/Peace a moment ago, which is, can I find out from you where I am supposed to have come into contact with somebody who's tested positive?
Now, that's not my area.
Right.
Okay, so so you have very split responsibilities within tracing.
Yes.
I very specifically talk to people who have had a positive result.
And what do you get from them with regard to their contacts?
So it is, if it's in the household, it is a name and or email and phone number.
And then you put that into a system and someone else contacts them, because as a clinician, your time is more valuable than, for example, mine would be.
I'm not saying that.
No, but I am, and you're not contradicting me. So you can't be ringing around every Tom, Dick and Harry that I've broken bread with over the last fortnight, because you need to be dealing with people who have specifically and demonstrably tested positive already.
That's right, and I'm also checking their symptoms and checking that they're actually okay.
Okay.
And some of the symptoms that they may have may be other than COVID, and they may need other professional help. So that call is not just to get lists of names. It is also to check that the people who have been tested positive are actually well and okay, and also able to isolate.
Yes.
Both medically, physically, mentally, and we can give help and contacts to help them isolate as well. So you're not just stranded. You must isolate. We'll leave you to it.
Yes.
It is, I want to make sure that you're okay, and you can. Now, yes, you're right. The contacts are then handed over in the system to another tier, who then make those calls, and some of it's done locally as well.
Okay. So we can.
You should not be told. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you're told where you got it. So It could be that you're in a household of 4 people and you're all isolating because Dad's got it, right? Mm. And you then receive a call saying you've been in contact, and you may assume it's because you're isolating with Dad. But it might not be. It might be because you were in the sports club 2 days before you started isolating, or on the bus. It could have been anywhere. You don't. You can't really assume.
Oh, you're very good. You should. And to be clear, if Dad has got it, then the whole household should be isolating. If Dad has been told that he's come into contact with somebody who's got it, then the whole household doesn't need to isolate, but Dad does. That's
correct.
Yes.
You only need to isolate if the family, if you have got symptoms or you've been tested positive. So theoretically, you really should be isolating if you've got symptoms and you're waiting for your test result to come back.
Again, you're brilliant. Yeah. So imagine if you spoke to me and after putting the phone down, I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, I forgot to tell her about Keith's socially distanced 21st birthday party last Friday night. Can I ring you back?
You can't.
Oh.
I would like to think that I'm almost as good as you in persuading people and reminding people of things that they might have forgotten.
Right.
So that is part of our job.
So you'll talk them through all of their movements in the hope of prompting their memories. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah. And I do remind people that the reason that we're getting contacts is not just to get you to dob in your neighbour or your friend.
No.
It is so that those people can be informed that they may have contracted the virus. And if they have to go home or care for a sick or vulnerable relative, they then have the information to not then inadvertently infect them. So it really is to help protect friends and family. And I'm not just saying that. That is what we're doing.
And the only information you have is the phone number. So if people don't answer the phone or pick up the phone, that's it.
And email.
So if you could choose to ignore it.
You absolutely could choose to ignore it.
That's the conversation we had yesterday about whether or not.
You're then choosing to then go and potentially infect other people.
Of course,
and you're then choosing to give people you're infecting to no information, so they then cannot protect potentially vulnerable loved ones who may be older and not as able to fight the virus as you are. That is something you are choosing to do.
Looking at the polling, and this will be the final question, you've been absolutely invaluable. I imagine that contrary to some of the confected debates that people like me end up having on the radio, the massive majority of people would be both cooperative and keen to help.
Those that answer their phones, I have had so few negative experiences. Good. I have spoken to the most amazing, cooperative, sympathetic people, empathetic people. I mean, I'm just, my heart is warmed by the people who have answered the phones. Now, there are lots of people who have not answered the phones, and there are more who do. I make more phone calls that I leave an answer phone message for than I do have somebody answer the call.
That's normal, though. I mean, most of us don't pick up these days, do we, if we don't recognise the number?
And I think that's it, yeah. I think that's it. And I think
that's a problem.
But we do keep calling, and it does become annoying that we will keep calling. But if you pick the phone up, we'll stop calling. I mean, it is as simple as that.
Yeah. So if you want to get Alice off your back, then pick up your flipping phone. Finally, Alice, and I appreciate it. As a scientist, it's probably unfair to ask you to generalise like this, but did you detect any difference in attitude according to generation when you get through to people?
No, and I've called halls of residence where there have been 12 people living in, and I have had students who said, "Look, I've only been here a week.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know anybody, but we have sort of talked over tea and coffee, but I'm not sure of their surname." And I had one amazing chap who actually went and knocked on the other 11 doors while I was on the phone to him, and very amazingly just put a piece of paper in front and said, "Mate, put down your name and phone number. I've got track and trace on something." He got the whole flat. He got everybody in there. He then created a database that everybody else could share.
Good grief.
I've had 80-year-olds who have been waiting for somebody to call because they didn't know what to do. I've had people have just been helpful across the board, honestly, generational. But I can't give you the profile of people who haven't answered because...
And that is the big elephant in the room, isn't it? Is because I'm about to say this is the most upbeat and confidence-inspiring conversation I've had practically since this whole thing started. But it is with that caveat that who knows what's happening with the people that haven't answered the phone. Could I ask you to go all in? Hang on, we're going to run out of time. From your perspective, where you deal exclusively with people who have tested positive, give the system a mark out of 10.
What do you mean by the system? There are several levels of the system. Are you talking about
I'm trying to be simplistic and tabloidy, and you're insisting on being nuanced and intelligent, Alice. I
can ask you if you like fruit, but you can say, well, there's some fruit I don't like and some I love.
Do you know what?
You are. On the comfort, but I love a mango.
You are almost as good as me. You weren't kidding, were you?
I think the job that we're doing with calling people who have tested positive, and they've already had the test.
Yes.
They've been through that process. I think that it is well because of the quality of the people who are doing the job.
Well, I think that now I've met one, I think so too.
And I think the system is amazing, starting from scratch, having built the software system, and it is constantly developing. We are getting updates every day of little nuances and changes. It's getting there, but any system needs to be developed, and it still needs to be developed. And it would be nice if we could cut down the number of calls we have to make to people, becoming multiple contacts of multiple cases.
And that's
a work in progress.
Yeah, no, and that's the next part of the conversation, is that I need to speak to people at the second stage of the either as contacts or as contactors. Alice, you're a star. Before you go, can I tell you one thing?
No, go on then, as long as it's okay. But yeah, all right.
I cannot stand kumquats.
Oh, see, I knew.
I know you knew. You read
love
me
mango,
like a book.
though, don't you?
I am rather partial, particularly an Alfonso mango. Alice, I hope we can talk again. Thank you for everything that you do, not least in the last 10 minutes, actually, which I think many people listening to will be quite encouraged by, and goodness knows that's not a word we've used very often in recent weeks.